welcome back to this video. The plan for this video is going to be to get the clutch and flywheel installed up to the engine, get the transmission mounted up on the engine as well, and hopefully get the engine and transmission both back into the car. So you can see right here, I do have my new flywheel, clutch is back over there. I have my 10 pressure plate bolts over here, or my flywheel bolts actually, not my pressure plate bolts. My triple square socket, this is a size 12 torque wrench, as well as I have all my torque specs written down over there. So let's get started. Let's bolt up the flywheel. As you can see, clutch and flywheel are bolted up to the motor now. I do have my clutch alignment tool in place just to hold everything there for now until the transmission's ready to go on. So next step is I'm gonna be rolling the engine out of the way, and I'm gonna pull out the transmission. We're gonna get the transfer case pulled off of the transmission, get this all nice and cleaned up. This is looking pretty dirty right now. Just make it look a little nicer when it's back in the car. We are going to get our new throwout bearing installed as well. So let's get on with that. Alright, so you can see I got everything separated, started getting the transmission cleaned up, pretty much just used a combination of the wire brush over there and some brake clean. Got a whole lot of that grime off of the top of it. Still do have some cleaning up to do, still a lot over there and towards the front side, but I ran out of brake clean, so now I need to get more. So I got the transmission pretty well cleaned up, didn't go super crazy with it, just wanted to get a lot of that dirt and grime off before putting it back together. There's still a little bit on there, but I'll probably just scrape away at that off camera a little bit, as well as make sure I clean up inside of the bell housing, I guess, before I reassemble everything. But I did just hit it with a wire brush and some brake clean real quick, and it's a hell of a lot cleaner than it was. Did the same thing with the transfer case over here, or the bevel box, or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna be coming back over to the engine bay for a second really quick. I picked up this heat-proof cable wrap sleeving stuff off of Amazon. Lead route, however you want to pronounce that. I don't really know how to say that correctly, but I could leave a link to this down in the description. It was like 20 bucks for a 10-foot roll. And I'm just gonna wrap it around my O2 sensor harness because that needs to run down right next to where the exhaust manifolds are gonna be. So I wanna make sure that that's protected. So I'm gonna get to that right now really quick. got that harness all wrapped up. Was a little bit of a tight fit around this harness. I believe this is the 1/2 inch inner diameter sleeving that I got. The 3/4 inch might have been a little bit nicer of a fit because it was a little tight to get around this harness. However, I was actually able to just barely squeeze it inside of these factory harness routing locations. So take that as you will. But it routed up pretty nicely. I am probably gonna throw a couple of zip ties around it just to make sure it stays together. The kit came with these metal zip ties, so I'll just throw a couple of those on really quick just to make sure the Velcro that holds it shut doesn't start to come apart. But yeah, I mean, it runs from the firewall down, factory location, and right now I just have it pulled around to the front, but it would normally go under the car to the box where all of the O2 sensors plug in. All right, it's a new day. My friend Thaddeus is on his way over. He's gonna give me a hand. We're gonna work on getting the motor and transmission assembled and back into the car. And then from there forward, just keep getting the engine bay back together, get everything plumbed up and wired, and hopefully we can try and get this thing running. So let's get started. Engine and trans are up, bolted together. Time to get the transfer case hooked up. As you can see, got everything nicely up and in the car. I do need to bring home a socket from work, so I'm gonna grab that tomorrow morning just so I can get the last bolt for the transfer case. But I should be able to do that with it in the car if I just stick the axle to the side a little bit. It's that one long Allen bolt that goes through. Motor mounts are on. The engine is free hanging all by itself. So we're making progress, we're getting there. Next step going forward is gonna be to get that lower transfer case bolt in, get the exhaust bolted up. I do have the gaskets and all new hardware and stuff up here. We're gonna wanna get our O2 sensors plugged in at the bottom, get the shift linkage hooked up, bleed the clutch and get that hooked up, start plugging things in, get the engine wiring harness back on. We're also going to want to get our lower transmission mount hooked up just so the engine doesn't swing back and forth the way that it does right now. Get it nice and firmly mounted in place. we made some pretty good progress today. Got the intake manifold installed, got a good portion of the engine harness all wired up and in there. Still a couple things that need to be tidied up and finalized. But for the most part, we did get a lot of it together. Still no oil in the engine or in the transmission. That stuff is actually on order and should be here within the next couple of days. I'm probably gonna call it here for this video though. It's getting pretty toasty out here in the garage. I'm gonna head inside and have a beer. In the next video, we'll be getting oil and stuff in the engine and hopefully get it running.